let's talk about the mistakes I made as a Nigerian university student and how you can avoid them. So the first mistake I made as an undergraduate was not prioritizing my grades enough. I started off with optimism and determination to graduate as a first-class student, just like many other students once hoped for. It was all I wanted, and to make my parents proud, of course. But in 100 level, when I had my first carryover, I began to reassess my decision, and it was during that time the whole school na scam thing started trending. You know, everywhere you went on social media, you would see one or two stories of a first-class student who is struggling with unemployment. So I soon internalized all those negative stories, and over time too, I began to trivialize the importance of a first-class education, of having a distinctive result. And even when I had grades that were not up to expectation, I would make excuses like, well, I tried my best, they didn't give me the grades, but I am smart, and with or without the grade, I'm still going to succeed. So some of the excuses I gave for performing below expectations, and that was a very faulty mindset. Over time, when I began to gain better clarity on my life choices and goals, and then I had attained some level of maturity, I realized the importance of having a distinctive result. And it was during that time I had started following some persons on social media who changed my mindset on academic relevance in the global world. Not that I didn't know the relevance of academics in the global, but I hadn't come to the full realization of its importance until I started following these people who thankfully had gone the mile. And I've shared a number of them in my previous videos, so you can check them out if you want to. So I upped my study strategy and my grades began to improve, but it still wasn't the best of me yet until towards the end of my school year. That's somewhere around 300 and 400 level, when one of my friends told me she expects me to have an A during that semester. It was more like a push, and I began to take the first class thing even more seriously. Thankfully, my final year grades were really good. They were good enough, but you can't cheat the system. My foundations was compromised, so the few good grades I had in my 200 second semester until 400 level is not enough to make up for the many lost years I had from 100 and 200 level. Some persons would say it's not entirely your fault, but it's my fault. I'm responsible for my grades, and I'm meant to take actions on ensuring that they become better or they are resolved. But I was lax about it. I didn't worry so much about it, and so now I'm done with school. I wish I was more intentional about my grades. I wish I had put in more effort to seeing that I graduated with the first class against the second class, which I would be having now. So don't mind what they tell you out there. The first class result is actually good. And one friend would always say, do not make the case of your excellence hard to make. So if you are brilliant, then your academics is one way to show it. Show them you really are what you say you are. If you have intentions of furthering after your degree, then your case is different. You shouldn't be rubbing shoulders or comparing miles with somebody who just wants to have a first degree and maybe go into something different. So you want to ensure that the effort you're putting into your academic is commensurate with the place you intend being in the future, is aligned with your life's goals and choices. And even though you don't intend using your degree upon graduation, a first class degree is something you'd always be proud of. When you go back to it, you would always be proud of the hard work you put into achieving these good results. It's something everybody should have. If you can, please do have a first class degree. It just sets the pace for you. And if you come from a family that's not so advantaged, then education is just the key to unlocking opportunities. You're already disadvantaged on many fronts, and you want to add bad results to disadvantage. That's too much problem for one person. So like the guy always says, make the case for your excellence easy to make, or don't make it hard to make. Right, so let's go on to the next one. So you know that saying of there is a you in you known to you and not known to others. There's a you in you known to you and known to others, and then there's a you known to others but not known to you. The last part is our main focus. So in my 300 level, somewhere around there, I remember my friend suggesting to me that I vie for the positions of the faculty vice president, and some said I should vie for the departmental vice president. Some others said I should go for my hostel vice president. And just like you're thinking, I declined them all. My excuse was, I wasn't interested in politics and I wasn't willing to affiliate myself with any part of it. But here comes me today. Anywhere I turn, fellowship or program, you're told to talk about your leadership experience. Thankfully, I have a few under my sleeves, but imagine the difference it would make when they see these experiences, faculty VP and all of these other experiences under your profile. That's the advice I always give to undergraduates, 100 level students, which is embrace every opportunity thrown at you. So you might say, oh, I can't lead, I've never led before, I don't think I have the ability to lead, I'm not even confident enough, I don't think I'm bold. Many of these excuses. Look, we are leaders in different ways. Are you the oldest of your sibling? Are you spearheading an activity in your department? And even if you feel like you don't have any of these experiences at all, then standing up to responsibility is one way to build your capacity to handle greater responsibilities. It's a good way to test your abilities, know what you're able to do, know what comes naturally to you, know what you have a flair for, and know what you struggle with. And as a young person, you want to try your hands at many things. It's a good way to know yourself, to understand yourself better. For example, sometime during my undergraduate days, I had to step up to the responsibility of being the executive admin of a community. And it was through my service there I was able to identify my abilities to organize and manage. So imagine if I hadn't stepped up to that responsibility, I wouldn't have known that. And now, if I have any need to talk about my soft skills, I can easily mention organization and management. And I have tangible things to back it up with. So by handling responsibilities, you're able to know things you can do well, things you can't do well, and areas you should improve on. The bottom line of everything is, if there is a person they need to do something, be that person that steps up to it. The third mistake I made was skipping lectures. Bro, did I skip lectures back to back? I'm not proud of it. But there was this semester where I was barely at my lodge. My lodge mates would be like, are you even around? Have you been inside? Have you been indoors? Where have you been? Did you travel and all? I didn't travel, I was around. But I was barely around during the day. I was so occupied with activities, meaningful activities, which I'm still thankful of today. But regardless, my studies is a non-negotiable and I didn't prioritize rightly. So I suffered for it, at least until I got sent. During that time when I skipped lectures, I'll be like, maybe my friend tells me, oh, Stephanie, are you not coming for lectures? Or I say, oh, what are we having? He tells me this. And okay, don't worry. Lectures are not so serious. I would read for it at the end of the day. I did read for it. I did pass. But lectures are very important. Different lecturers have their different lecturing style. And unless you're there, unless you're present in class, you won't observe this. Some lecturers even go further to talk about their areas of concentration. This way, you don't have to study the entire textbook. But we think we are wise and we skip lectures. And then during exam, you start telling fine stories of things that have little or no interest in the lecture. So don't skip lectures. That's just a simple thing. Do not skip lectures. Attend your lectures. Your studies should be the number one thing. You were sent to the university for academic reasons. Every other thing comes next. So it should be the first priority, not the church, not conferences, not programs, not clubs, not parties. Your academic is the first thing. Don't sacrifice your academics for things that you can always do later in the future, things that are not running away. The fourth mistake I made was not socializing enough. If you're in the category of those who do not mingle with their peers, please drop a hi in the comments. Let me be sure that I'm not alone in this thing. So, one mistake I wish I can undo is making friends with my classmates. So of course, I had friends, but it's not compared to having meaningful friends in other categories that were my classmates. I had friends, but they were not my classmates. They were either senior colleagues, and that was a few of them, very handful of them, maybe one or two from my department, and the rest of them were people who were not in my department, sometimes not even in my university at all. So it was a crazy thing. So I like to think of the university like this. In every department, there are different categories of people. The first category of people I like to call the busy bees. They are extroverted, they are familiar with lecturers, they have a lot of friends, they are very social, they hold position within or outside the faculty, and they often get informations often get to them quickly. The next set, which I call the middlemen, they are in between the first set and the third set, which I'll be talking about. They have friends too, maybe not so much as the first set. They are familiar with some lecturers, mostly the lecturers on the conservative side. They are fairly social. They have a few important persons in their list. Then the last set of people I call the lone wolves. These ones are hardly seen with anybody. They are observant and they're often the last to get information, important information. And that was a category I fell under. So it meant that I hardly knew anything that was happening in my department unless it was shared in the official group chat. And it didn't help that my friends too were in that category. So we're like a bunch of blind people working together. We didn't know anything that was happening. Okay, we knew you, but often at the dying minutes when everybody had gone through the excitement or whatever emotions that come with that news, and I didn't ask questions. I didn't even know what questions to ask. So we often got information at the dying minutes, at the last minute. To make friends with different categories of these people I've mentioned, try to have friends in each category. Break out of your shell and do what your peers are doing. You can't be young forever. There's an ebook but really you can't be young forever. So anytime you have an opportunity to maximize something, then leverage it. Your friends are going for dinner nights. What is it called? Go with them. I didn't attend dinner night. I didn't attend freshers nights. My departmental freshers night. I didn't attend it. I did attended my hostel own, but I didn't attend my departmental freshers night. I went for something else. I didn't go for many things my course mates went for. So I was technically not in their clique. They had a clique and I wasn't found in any of their cliques. So it doesn't mean you should be in all of the activities, right? You can select them. There are some you should filter them, know the right ones to attend and the ones you shouldn't attend. But if they are having departmental debates, competitions, or activities that involves your department and that would help your academic journey, then get involved. There is no good in being a standalone person. Now, the last but not the least mistake I made as an undergraduate was spirituality. Do not mind what they tell you. Your spiritual life is an important component of your university journey. So get involved, find a fellowship and be a part of it. And as a general rule, I advise you join a campus fellowship. I wasn't part of a campus fellowship. I had a few stints at campus fellowship, but it didn't last up to a semester, sometimes a few weeks or maybe a semester, and that's all, until I eventually stayed at a non-campus fellowship. I had a nice time there, but it's not compared to when you're fellowshipping with young students like you. There is a feeling to it and I don't know how to describe it. But not just that, don't be a passive church goer. Passive in the sense that you just go to one benches and you're done for the day. You go back home, repeat the same pattern until 4 years later you're done. If you're going to be a part of a church community, then go all the way in. Be a worker, find a place. The church is in constant need of people to help it grow. So find a department and serve there. You have giftings and talents. There are different ways you can help a church grow. So those are the mistakes I made during my time as a university student. I hope you picked a lesson or two from this video, and I also hope you do not make the same mistakes as I made. I made a lot of them, many of them.